keeping the needs of our businesses, workers, entrepreneurs, nonprofits, and families top of mind. In an effort to hear from diverse groups of people, to create an equitable and sustainable plan, and to also capture feedback with the widest lens possible, we created a process that allowed for conversation and dialogue. This included formal meetings of the subcabinet, roundtable discussions, and opportunities for community feedback. To us, the last part, community feedback, is key, which is why we are here tonight. We are so grateful for the participation that we have received so far, but we want to continue the conversation. Before we kick off our discussion this evening, I would like to introduce the county executive and Moman. They will be providing an overview of our recovery plan and our proposal for Baltimore County's use of these American Rescue Plan Act funds. Mr. County Executive.
Thanks, Leonard, and good evening, everyone. I am so grateful for you all being here, and thank you for our continued work as we are strengthening our communities in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. It has been over a year and a half where we have had a once-in-a-generation crisis disrupting our entire way of life. And back in March, President Biden and congressional delegation passed the American Rescue Plan, which included $161 million to support our recovery in Baltimore County. And apologies for not being on camera. I'm actually traveling back to my home office from the Port of Baltimore, where some of these investments were recently highlighted by the president. So I hope to join you on camera soon. But in the meantime, I want to walk through some of this funding because this is a critical moment and we are committed to getting it right. We know that how we respond has long-term ramifications for our residents, which is why we formed an economic recovery subcabinet, which was chaired by Director Howie, to develop a plan that equitably and sustainably addresses all of our needs. I want to thank everyone on the team who came together creating a thoughtful and comprehensive plan, including Leonard, Stacy Rogers, our administrative officer, and Jasmine Clements, our senior policy manager, who helped steer that. I also want to thank all of the department heads from across Baltimore County who participated in that work. Over the past several months, the subcabinet met regularly and had roundtable discussions with workers, business owners, and residents to help develop that plan. So I also want to thank the stakeholders who have already provided critical input. And again, want to thank our departmental leadership for their cross-departmental interagency effort that solicited what I believe are the very best ideas from across county government. Our plan for recovery is a generational opportunity to build a stronger future for all of our communities. Like so many of the challenges we faced during the pandemic, they continue and they persist afterwards, and they require meaningful investment. So last week, we announced the first round of our recommendations, which amounts to about $60 million of investments. An additional $80 million will be spent on our ongoing public health response to the pandemic. $20 million is currently unallocated, and we plan to program that following public input. Our plan begins with investing unprecedented resources in communities that were hit hardest by the pandemic. In Eastern Baltimore County, Essex has consistently faced significant challenges, including high poverty, housing instability, and the county's highest opioid overdose rates. These challenges grew even worse during the pandemic, especially as Essex saw some of the county's highest COVID rates. So our proposal includes $3 million to support a previously announced effort that's place-based and focused on the Essex community. This will be a coordinated multi-agency effort to target resources to support this community. On Liberty Road in Western Baltimore County, we propose to use funds to create a community development organization. We know the Liberty Road corridor is the heart of Randallstown and has a concentration of commercial development. And for years, the community's been working to create a cohesive sense of place, foster and strengthen the business community. With a community development organization, we know that we can put the resources in place to promote equitable business growth in the Randallstown community. Now, like both Essex and Randallstown, a number of communities across Baltimore County were disproportionately harmed by the pandemic. In many cases, these same communities were underserved and faced chronic disinvestment for years or even decades. That's why we're putting forward another $2.5 million to create community equity districts. This will provide seed funding for community development organizations to build out community infrastructure and promote additional investment. Our goal here is to help vulnerable communities in their short-term recovery while fostering long-term growth and investment. The entire county will benefit from a recovery plan that is built upon equity and inclusion, and that's what we're doing here. During the pandemic, we also know that so many families were faced with the housing instability and an eviction crisis. And with funding from the CARES Act, we helped over 1,000 families stay in their homes. And now as we're thinking about helping communities recover, we know that we have to do more to strengthen housing stability. We have a moral and a legal obligation to expand access to affordable housing in Baltimore County. So we're proud to recommend $16 million in funding for an affordable housing development fund. That fund will do everything from developing and preserving affordable housing in Baltimore County to establishing a local housing trust fund and helping us convert market rate units. We also know that our business and nonprofit communities have faced unprecedented challenges during the COVID-19 pandemic. And while we were proud to be able to allocate over $26 million to hundreds of businesses, we know that some were also not eligible for assistance under the CARES Act. That's why we have a grant program proposed to provide operational support for those small businesses, especially those in the service sector. Like service and hospitality businesses, childcare providers were hit particularly hard. So we include $2.1 million for operating grants to childcare providers, which is a critical building block for any recovery strategy. There were also grant programs for nonprofits who were not eligible for the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development funding, but they are nonprofits who have continued to serve our residents throughout this crisis. So in addition, our plan includes significant funds to them and to support the tourism industry, which was also disproportionately harmed by the pandemic. Importantly, this includes funding to support the A&E district in Catonsville and in another part of the county. Other investments to support our main streets include $3 million for streetscaping and funding for small business consultants to support and grow our small business community. Now, these are just highlights of our plan. In addition to those proposals, we have wide-ranging plans to also support education, the environment, and the mental health needs of our residents. On education, Baltimore County faces a severe bus driver shortage, and that's a challenge that's put an undue burden on our students and families. We know that we need to compete and remain competitive for our drivers, who we value so much, which is why we worked with BCPS to provide new and existing bus drivers with a $2 per hour raise, and also providing funding for background checks and physical exams for potential new hires. This is exactly what recovery is about: supporting and retaining the best and acknowledging the work of our hardworking employees. To support the school houses, we're also proposing an innovative program that addresses teacher shortages in Baltimore County. Last year, over 180 teachers were lost from Baltimore County. They resigned, and we know that's a number that might grow as a result of the pandemic. And over a half of the open teaching positions within Maryland, we know, are filled by out-of-state candidates. That's why we're proposing a homegrown teacher program to attract and retain teachers who live in Baltimore County and to grow a diverse pool of teaching candidates. It's a program that includes $1 million for tuition grant funds over 2 years that prioritizes students who are enrolled in undergraduate or graduate teaching programs at our HBCUs in Maryland. Now, throughout this pandemic, all of us have been tested, and we continue to see a drastic increase in mental health challenges. So to meet that need, we're investing in a range of new mental health resources, which includes mental health aid for the public, mental health first aid training for the public, trauma-informed customer care training for our public-facing county employees, a new wellness coordinator for Baltimore County, and personal locator units for 200 Project Lifesaver participants, in addition to a new mobile community center. We also plan to begin a 2-part public service campaign to encourage primary care practices to screen for mental health symptoms and encourage residents to get a mental health checkup. In addition, we want to fund the expansion of our mobile crisis team, as well as the hiring of clinicians to be embedded in and support our 911 call centers. The pandemic also put additional strain on our solid waste processes, and the amount of trash going to our landfill has increased 5-fold over the last 2 years, from 300 tons per day to over 1,500 tons. We know a significant portion of that waste going to the landfill is food waste, and that can be avoided. So our proposal provides $6.2 million to explore innovative solutions for our waste challenges, including the expansion of food composting. In another step to support our environment, we also propose $6.6 million to complete a living shoreline and aquatic habitat reestablishment project along the middle branch of the Patapsco River. We also provide an additional $4 million towards trails and open space in Baltimore County. I want to express my gratitude for everyone who shared our priorities with us as we started drafting these proposals. We also look forward to additional public input tonight and at our next meeting as we finalize these recommendations. As we release these recommendations, we also released a public survey. So in addition to tonight's meeting and our next public town hall, I encourage you, your friends and family, to give us that feedback so that we can have initiatives that not just help us rebuild our economy, but aspire higher to going back to where we should have always been. So I look forward to hearing from our many residents tonight who are listening in. And we look forward to continuing our recovery plan in partnership with all of you. That's what this administration has always been about, and that's what we'll always keep doing together. So thanks for the opportunity to present this overview, Director Howie. I'll turn things over, I believe, to Momin Abuktir, who will give a quick update on how we plan to use data and other metrics around this funding.
Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Momin Abuktir. I'm the Chief Data and Performance Officer here at Baltimore County. I manage the BC STAT program, which is the performance management program and the data arm for Baltimore County. I want to say that Baltimore County, just start off by saying Baltimore County is a data-driven jurisdiction. And just to be clear, I know data-driven has a lot of different meanings, but I think as you'll see this in the slides to come, we'll try to explain what that really means here in Baltimore County. Realistically speaking, being data-driven means that the driver of the meetings and everything is using the data. And we're lucky to have our county executive who utilizes all of the data. And in every meeting and every single one, at least that I've sat in, the first question that comes up is like, well, do we have any data on this? And what is the data showing? So we are definitely data-driven in that manner. I'm going to talk a little bit about how we're going to report and track a lot of these various different programs and proposals. I want to start off by the sort of mandated requirements. We will have to develop and track key performance indicators and submit quarterly and annual expenditures for all of these different proposals and programs to the Department of Treasury. And so that is the requirement. But I think where we say here Baltimore County is ready is that we've been doing this work. We've set up an infrastructure around data-driven decision-making and tracking and key performance indicators. And I think, it's very easy for individuals to choose a metric or something that just shows an output, something, dollars spent or this many, widgets performed or created. And for us here in Baltimore County, key performance indicators are much greater. They have a much bigger meaning. In many of our meetings, you'll hear our county administrative officer ask, but who's better off? And that's the question that we really try to answer with our key performance indicators. So what you're going to see is you're going to see metrics that show different outputs, but you're going to also see real indicators of people being better off and that this money is achieving the desired outcome that it has. So I will just quickly mention right here. So again, we'll develop and track metrics specific to those proposals, but also high-level community indicators that indicate who is better off. And there will be transparency in that process, and you'll see that in the coming slides. And we also in BC STAT have cross-departmental meetings around various priorities for this administration, where we discuss problems and discuss the data, and our county executive and senior team are constantly asking questions about the way that things are trending. And so it's very important to make it clear that we already have the infrastructure in place, and we're doing this with our normal data. So placing these projects and tracking these projects will just be a part of that system that's in place. Next slide, please. So I'm going to walk through these a few slides just where it shows what we're doing and how we are data driven. This here is just a map of the qualified census tracts. You'll see in a lot of these proposals, they mention qualified census tracts. And what does that necessarily mean? That's sort of defined by the Department of Treasury and HUD on the federal level of areas that are disproportionately impacted by various different things and that are underserved and across the country. And so you can see here highlighted the ones that are identified in Baltimore County. This data in the qualified census tracts, we looked at various different other metrics, which I'll show in the next slide, and they are pretty much in line with what we're seeing countywide with various different data, whether it's overdoses, whether it's crime, whether it's eviction risk. We look at various different metrics and get really granular, and we see that there's definitely overlap between these areas and the areas we identify, and that the qualified census tracts are truly underserved. So I just wanted to sort of point out this map as the first thing that we do in any of the data analysis that we do is we really try to diagnose and identify the areas of need. And so that's the very, very first step. We know the census tracts that are underserved and we're aware of them. Next slide, please. But what's unique with BC Stat is the ability to dig even deeper. So we know a census tract may be underserved, but how do we really identify the neighborhood, the block, the street, the specific address that is in need? That is where BC Stat has access to various different data sets at that granular level to be able to really identify within this one census tract what neighborhood really has specific crime concerns, what area really has behavioral health concerns, what area really has food deserts, what area, and identifying those pockets of need within these qualified census tracts, but also across the county, because you may see that there are definitely areas across the entire county that may be a street or block that is in desperate need, but might not fall within an overall qualified census tract. And a qualified census tract, just because I didn't mention this earlier, is defined by the Treasury Department and HUD as an area where the majority of individuals living there make an income lower than the region average. So I just wanted to point out that our ability to get very, very granular with the data, and which we're already doing. These maps were not created for this presentation. These are maps pulled from our stat meetings and maps that we've circulated and discussed in depth. Next slide, please. And then the final slide, well, not final, second to last slide, but this slide will pretty much shows the eviction risk in Baltimore County. What I wanted to show with this specific map is that, we're able to tell the areas that are underserved and in need of help. We're able to get deep within those areas and identify very specific areas that are underserved and communities that are underserved and need assistance. But what we're also able to do is take this data, and what we do is take this data and actually use it when we're implementing the deployment of a program in those areas. So we're constantly aware of what's going on and how do we best deploy these resources to the areas that are most in need. And again, this map and a lot of this information informed the eviction prevention program here in Baltimore County. Next slide, please. I just want to end with this slide around transparency and accountability. Again, we've created here in Baltimore County an infrastructure around data, transparency and accountability. We have dashboards. We already, a lot of these, what you'll see are processes that they're existing spending, grants management, and contracting processes that we've had all along. And the ARP projects and proposals will follow the same process that we have in place, where we will show our spending on our open budget and open checkbook platform, which currently shows our entire fiscal year budget and how it's allocated, but also how we're spending the money and where it's going. Any contract over $25,000 requires county council approval, especially with the ARP funds. So anything that exceeds that amount before it's expended will need county council approval. And finally, any grant distributions that occur will go through the internal process of review, but then at the very end, it will be provided to the council with 14-day notice of that grant before it's expended. So again, I just just want to add that we're not really creating any processes to track in terms of additional things we're adding, because we've already been doing this with our current budget and with all of the data that we have in-house, and we're going to continue to do this and be data-driven when we're tracking ARP funds.
Okay, Moment, thank you so much for that presentation, and I hope everyone really got the gist of what's going on here. Transparency and accountability are not only central to these federal funds, but it's also central to how Baltimore County executes under the leadership of our county executive. So thank you for that moment. Next, I would like to really reiterate to set the stage for what's going on this evening. The county executive started explaining exactly what was going on. And again, I just want to reiterate what the purpose is for today. The purpose is to continue to collect feedback on our current proposals and to listen to your ideas that we can consider for the future. We are looking forward to hearing from each of you. We ask that residents sign up in advance via email to testify. Those of you that did should have received a confirmation. When it is your turn, I will call your name and you will be unmuted. You will also have the option to turn on your video if you would like. Upon calling your name, you will have up to 2 minutes to provide feedback on the proposals. We appreciate your cooperation in advance. This will ensure that as many residents as possible will have the opportunity to speak. If you are in attendance and would like to testify but did not sign up in advance, please email townhall@baltimorecountymd.gov now to be included in today's lineup. If you would like to provide additional comments, please visit baltimorecountymd.gov/ARP to complete the survey that the county executive referenced earlier in his remarks. So we'll start with the first comment, and we'll go to our council chair, Chairman Jones.
Yes, thank you so much, Director Howie. Hi, everyone. This is Baltimore County Councilman and Chairman of the Baltimore County Council, Julian Jones. I just wanted to come on and just on behalf of myself, as well as the members of the Baltimore County Council, I just wanted to come on and thank the County Executive Olszewski for his continued collaboration and collaborative approach by opening up this process to the public. I think it's very important, and I, as always, just praise the county executive for his approach. Like you said, Director Howie, this is not a new approach. This is the way he's been governing since he took office. And I am personally excited about the investments in our community that's been proposed. And I look forward to hearing from the citizens and their ideas. And I don't want to take any more time from anyone else that's waiting to speak. But I'm excited about these proposals, and I just wanted to thank the county executive for his approach. Thank you very much, and God bless everyone.
Well, thank you very much for those remarks. Next, we'll go to Council Member David Marks. Is the council member here?
There we go. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Howie. I would like to thank you and thank the county executive for hosting this meeting tonight. One thing I have said to many people is I've appreciated this administration's willingness to engage citizens, the transparency, the openness, the public input that is really appreciated. I join with Chairman Jones in thanking all of those who are going to be participating tonight. I do want to pass along a couple suggestions that were made to me from my district, and I shared news about this meeting with 85 community leaders. So you may hear from people in Towson, Loch Raven, Perry Hall, Kingsville, but the ones that I got, I just want to bring to your attention very briefly. You're going to hear from residents of Perry Hall Manor about continuing to work with them on the septic issue. You know, as we look at public health, that is certainly something that I know your administration is helping us with. You're also going to hear from people about creating a sense of place. And it's something I think you discussed when you talked about places like Essex, making sure that we have a sense of place. The Dunfield community is one community that really needs to have a POW center. It has been a priority for the state legislators. For me, Delegate Carl Jackson in particular has been very involved. So that is something that I would like to just put forward. Secondly, continuing to advance the Bierman property. And I applaud this administration for helping to acquire that. And then two very small projects. There's a property in the Perry Hall Commercial Revitalization District that many residents have thought might be a very good small pocket park. and then also the extension of the Northeast Trail from Silver Spring Road to Maryland 43. I just wanted to bring those to your attention. Again, I thank this administration for having these meetings, which are so important, and look forward to hearing everyone tonight.
Thank you very much, council member. Thank you for those remarks. Next, we will go to Nancy Hafford.
Good evening.
Yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity to come and speak tonight. One thing I'm sure a lot of people don't know, Baltimore County has been extremely fortunate that we haven't lost a lot of our businesses, small businesses, during this pandemic. And it's all because of the investment that the county executive and the state have made to our communities, supporting our businesses. They're truly grateful for that support and whatever you can do to help. And we're glad that you highlighted childcare issues, because that's one of the great concerns that they have. They can have a problem getting staff because of childcare issues that they have. We're also grateful for your investment in tourism. Baltimore County is a wonderful, wonderful place for people to come and visit and enjoy. We have so many wonderful areas, from our waterways to our vineyards to all the events that we have throughout Baltimore County. And people are into staycations right now, and we need to share everything that we've got going on. And we also appreciate the support of our police department. We are very fortunate to have such a good, strong police department with good men and women serving our communities. So we're grateful for supporting those groups too. So thank you for always bringing us to the table. I don't just come here as the director of the Towson Chamber, but representing the different chambers and business groups in Baltimore County. And any way we can assist in this process, we're here to serve. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much, Nancy, for that. Mr. CE, great to see you. I'm sure all of your constituents really appreciate that as well.
I promise, folks. Yeah, I'm
You
back.
did.
I'm in person. I'm listening. I'm watching. I'm attentive, and we're here. Thanks,
Good
Leonard.
deal. Good deal. Next, we will go to Andrea Campbell.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. I can't figure out my video, so we'll just go without it. Anyways, my name is Andrea Campbell, and I've been a licensed family child care provider for 18 years. I'm also the president of the Baltimore County Family Child Care Association. Thank you for allowing me to speak at the town hall tonight. As a part of the $20 million that you're looking for proposals for, we would like to propose a recruitment grant be created specifically for recruiting new providers into the field of family child care. This grant would cover the cost of advertising this initiative, the required training, which can cost over $750, the fingerprinting expenses, the fire inspection fees, and the new provider's initial membership into the Baltimore County Family Child Care Association. All the expenses I just listed are expenses a potential provider must pay during the licensing process, all before earning a dime. After becoming licensed, the new provider would be awarded a $1,000 grant to put towards equipment and supplies he or she needs to start his or her business off right. Let me go back and talk a little bit about membership into our association and how that will be key into helping to support and mentor our new providers to success. The potential new provider would receive much needed support to navigate through the licensing process and beyond. Our association offers monthly training, so all the yearly required training providers need once they are licensed, they can receive through our association. We work hard to keep our providers abreast on local and national child care issues. We also offer a parent message board, which helps to support both the providers in our association along with the community at large. Families who need care can contact our parent message board, and their information is then emailed to our members. In 2017, Baltimore County reported that there were almost 50,000 children under the age of 5. We know that number has increased since 2017. So there are always families looking for care when we aren't in the midst of a pandemic. But we need to ensure family child care programs are open to support them. Our association strives hard to help families find licensed quality care and help our providers to be successful in their business. Our association also helps to mentor providers through quality programs such as Maryland Credentialing, Maryland Excels, the National Association for Family Child Care's accreditation program, along with making sure our providers are aware of grant opportunities to continue their education, such as an AA or a BA degree. If the grant is awarded, it will allow us to search out new providers in the areas of our county where we currently have family child care deserts. I appreciate your time and consideration on this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will go next to Susan Gurry.
There we go. All right. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak tonight. Everybody was really thrown horribly for a loop at the start of the COVID pandemic. But one thing that everybody kind of figured out pretty quickly was that turning to nature, the parks and the green space in the county, was a vital part to maintaining one's mental and physical health during the lockdown. As time has gone on, there's been an explosion in the use of the parks. Having the nearby space to enjoy and observe nature has helped many to decompress during a very stressful time. Having a park or green space, such as McDonald's Field and Perry Hall, the pocket park that David Marks was mentioning, or a potential pocket park, gives both children and adults a way to enjoy, benefit, and learn from nature. And nature's giving back. In McDonald's Field, the herd of deer, resident deer, provide entertainment for the residents of India Avenue and Minty Drive, as well as the hundreds of McDonald's customers that come through every day. The deer's habitat in Perry Hall grows ever smaller with each new house or business that is built. There's a fox family living in the woods in the field who have provided rodent control for the two communities surrounding the field for several of the fox's generations. When you live near two fast food restaurants, this rodent control is an absolute blessing. We are asking Baltimore County to use some of the ARP community revitalization funding to purchase McDonald's Field and preserve it as a passive green space for the Perry Hall Bel Air Road corridor, which has very few spaces like this within walking distance of the homes. I thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We will next go to Edith Nolapo. I'm sorry if I mispronounced the name.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Good to see you.
Okay, good to see you, Mr. Howard. My name is Edith Nolapo, and I'm the BCFCCA Baltimore County Family Child Care newsletter editor. I just want to thank everyone, thank Baltimore County for the $2.1 million grants to help stabilize family child care due to loss of tuition as a direct result of the pandemic and increased expenses. We're very grateful for this, and we thank Johnny O and all the executives for all of this. Family child care programs have been especially hit hard during the pandemic, and we've done everything we can to try to keep our doors open so that we can continue to work on the front lines for families who had to go to work during this pandemic. Prior to this time of the pandemic, we're already experiencing a child care crisis. During the height of the pandemic, Baltimore County lost close to 150 family child care providers, the highest loss in the state of Maryland. That accounts for 1,200 lost child care spots. Other counties have offered grants specifically for family child care programs that have totaled anywhere between $7,500 to $16,000. Based on the information that has been posted so far on the grant that Baltimore County is offering, it reads as though it is for family childcare and childcare programs. Our request is that it is offered strictly for family childcare programs. Baltimore County have offered at least 3 other small business grants that childcare programs would have been eligible to apply for, whereas family childcare programs were not able to apply for them because they were not eligible. Surveys show that as families are continuing to return to work in person, their preference for high quality licensed childcare would be family childcare. With the losses that we have already seen, family childcare might not be a choice for them, depending on what areas of the county they're looking for care. Unfortunately for Baltimore County, there will be families who will have to go to neighboring counties for childcare, which will funnel money that could be staying in Baltimore County to those neighboring counties, which is something we don't want to. We would like to propose that the childcare grant, that it should be written strictly for family childcare programs, or that more money be added to it to help ensure the equitable distribution of money closer to what other counties have received so far. Thank you for your consideration on this proposal, and we look forward to hearing better stuff coming to us, family childcare providers in Baltimore County. Thank you, everyone.
Right. Thank you very much. We will now go to Delegate Carl Jackson.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So I'm Delegate Carl Jackson. Thank you so much to the County Executive Johnny Olszewski and Mr. Leonard Howe for hosting this wonderful forum. I just wanted to lend my voice along with Councilman David Marks for a community center in the Dunfield area. This is a project that me and the councilman has been working on diligently. This project will be a game changer for this area. There's a lot of youth, and we've been having a lot of youth crime in that area. So having a community center will be a great way to get our young folks off the street, give them something constructive to do in a safe space, have access to athletics, of course, the PAL program. So that's it. That's all I wanted to say on that issue.
Okay, thank you very much, Delegate. We will next go to Michael Bullis.
Linda, we can go to the next name. I believe Mr. Bullis has not signed on yet.
Okay. Megan Britton.
Hi,
Yeah.
I am Megan Britton, just introducing myself. I am a family child care provider in Baltimore County, and I would like to speak on the stabilization grants that were offered to daycare providers. A lot of the things that I have wanted to say have already been covered, but I am a family provider that had to close in the beginning of January. I applied to reopen in July, which made me ineligible for the stabilization grants that were given out, which would have been a huge help. So maybe a proposal for grants that can help us providers that were forced to close to reopen, because the grants that were already given out do not help the providers that were closed for a 6-month period and had to reopen. So that's all that I would propose, is just something to help us providers that were affected by COVID and the pandemic to help us reopen. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Megan. Next, we will go to Andrea Broadwater.
Hello.
Good evening.
Okay. Ooh, I can do video, I think. There we go. Technology, right?
That's absolutely.
My name is Andrea Williams Broadwater. I am the chapter leader for Start School Later at Baltimore County. I'm speaking to you today to ask you to allocate part of the ARP health and safety funding to move Baltimore County Public Schools to healthy and safe school start times. I want to make sure you understand what our kids are going through under the current schedule. In Baltimore County, the regular high school bus pickups start by 6 a.m. Magnet school buses start earlier. That means from September through mid-May, kids are waiting for the bus before sunrise, getting to school as the sun comes up, and wishing every second that they were still asleep. And that's not because they're lazy or stayed up too late texting. It's because adolescent biology makes it hard for the average teen to go to sleep before about 11 o'clock, yet they still need about 9 hours of sleep. Doing the math, we're asking them to be ready for the bus 2 hours before their bodies are ready to be awake. Physicians tell us those early morning hours are when the most restorative sleep happens for teens. In fact, adolescents in our county report getting only about 6.75 hours of sleep on school nights. Research tells us it's lower income and students of color that are getting less. Sleep-deprived adolescents suffer more mental health challenges, including depression and suicidal tendencies. Their risky behaviors increase, like smoking, drinking, fighting, and they're more likely to carry weapons to school and get into car crashes as either a driver or a pedestrian. When schools delay bell times, measures of mental health improve. Truancy, tardiness, and dropout rates decrease. Academic and athletic achievement increases, and teens actually get more sleep each night. Spending ARP money to support a shift to safe and healthy school start times aligns with program aims by addressing systemic public health challenges that have unequally impacted our students. And it aligns with recommendations from experts. The American Academy of Pediatrics recommends school start times no earlier than 8:30, as do the CDC and a host of other health organizations. Even the Maryland Department of Health recommends schools not start before 8 a.m. Thank you for your consideration.
All right, thank you very much. We will next go to Tim Moritz.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I live on Rosehaven Road in Rosedale. There's been about 4 to 5 sizable neighborhoods on or near Buck Schoolhouse Road between Perry Hall Boulevard and Ridge Road that have been built since 1998, which includes approximately 500 single family homes. This results in more than $3 million per year of property tax revenue to Baltimore County. Very little has been done to improve Buck Schoolhouse Road beyond occasional patchwork. Now, Buck Schoolhouse Road is really the only access to all of these neighborhoods, and it is a mess. And we need this road repaved and drastically improved. Please, thank you.
Okay, thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Tim.
Okay, we will next go to Paul Schwab.
Hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. I'm a member of the Board of Trustees of the Baltimore County Public Library. And as many of you may know, the library has 19 branches throughout Baltimore County that provide services to residents of all ages year-round. Now, there are many needs that I could talk about and uses for the funds, but I'd like to talk about several tonight. One of the most common areas that we receive customer complaints from is about the bathrooms and meeting rooms. We've worked with property management, and they have approved plans for renovating and improving a number of bathrooms and meeting rooms in the branches. I think it would be great if we could get those with the first tranche of funds to fund the improvements at the White Marsh, the Woodlawn, and the Pikesville branches. That would be a great benefit to not only our customers and residents, but also the staff that works there. Also, I'd like to talk briefly about social worker. I'm glad that there's some money allocated for social workers in Baltimore County. The library currently has one social worker on staff. It's actually hiring, in the process of hiring a second, and next year we'll have a third. Now, the library branches, in order for the social workers to work in or see customers in some of the branches, we need study pods. So we would like to have some more study pods approved and paid for so that the social workers can, in the perfect world, see residents and customers at as many branches as possible. And finally, I'm very happy to see about the Essex initiative. I think it's great talking about concentrated resources to support the Essex community's recovery, while also seeking to empower residents, address disparities, and improve the overall quality of life. That to me sounds what libraries do. And while long-term a renovation of the existing branch probably makes sense, in the short term, we would like to see resources devoted to that particular branch to include for more technology, as well as to also have better places for kids and teens to use that particular branch. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Next is Julie Trout.
Hello.
Hello. Oh, we lost your voice.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So many things that I was hoping to share have already been shared, so I'll reiterate them. Just want to highlight on 3 areas where additional funding would be most beneficial. My background is working with youth nonprofits. I work with a camp, school, and sports league here in Baltimore County. Concerning the area of childcare, there is definitely a need for, there's a critical staffing shortage need and a definite need to help recruit teachers, but also help them with some of the expenses that they incur becoming childcare eligible. We go through rigorous processes to make sure that the people and individuals that are working with children are background screened, have met training requirements for being CPR, first aid certified, amongst other things. And it does pose a challenge to not be able to have it. It's not the type of field where we could just hire any candidate. The candidate has to have gone through a whole series of trainings and credentialing in order to work in the childcare industry, specifically here in Maryland with the Office of Child Care Requirements. So if there's something that we can use to help incentivize these childcare workers to help them become trained and ready, that would tremendously help. Some type of grant or scholarship that could be awarded to bring additional people into this field, because it does have an economic impact on all businesses, as Ms. Hafford stated. When a parent gets that call that you need to come pick up your child from work, or a child care center has to send a teacher home that has symptoms, that does have a tremendous impact on childcare, and then a ripple effect on parents who may need to pick up their children from a center that's now closed. And then another person spoke about how many centers have closed. There's a definite need and a shortage there. I mentioned that I run a camp. A lot of camps did not make it through the pandemic. And when summertime comes around and school is over, there will be a need there for summer programming for youth. And last but not least, if we could consider doing something to provide some additional recreational space in the county, specifically indoor recreational space. I run a sports league, Christian Youth Athletics. We're gearing up for basketball. I've tried non-public schools, public schools, parks and rec centers. I've even emailed Bob Smith with Parks and Recs because I can't find a gym. I have 200 kids that want to play basketball, and I can't find a gym that's available in Baltimore County. The same issues have happened on baseball and soccer time. It's very hard to find available fields. And last but not least, if we could consider some funding towards Beyond the Bell opportunities for youth, scholarship or grants for programs that offer things like tutoring after school. There is a definite gap and disparity with some children that were virtually learning. As they've come back to school, they're significantly behind and really need some help getting caught up. workforce programs for youth to help get them engaged with local businesses, offering grants for them, kind of like a youth work program, but it expanded, and then just additional sports and fitness opportunities for kids that are beyond the school day. So that is all, youth.
All right. Thank you very much, Julie. Appreciate that. Next, we have Mark Moore.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, my name is Mark Moore. I'm on the board of directors of the Citizens to Preserve Perry Hall Manor, established in 2001. Perry Hall Manor is a community that borders a big gunpowder river. Currently, Baltimore County determined that 22 of the 122 homes have failing or marginal septic systems. Current estimates provided by Baltimore County average $50,000 per homeowner. Our community currently is made up of 60% of residents are age 60 and older. We ask the county to consider funding this public health and environmental impacting project with the funds for that's all that I have at this time.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Mark. And I just want to let you and your neighbors know that we are actively looking at solutions to help make this project both happen, but also without a burden, particularly on those who are most vulnerable. But appreciate your comments tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. And we would welcome a community meeting if possible as well. Thank you.
Next, we have David and Theresa Fisher. David and Theresa Fisher, are they on? Almost. we heard a little, okay, I see a name that popped up. Maybe we should try to come back. There's an issue with your audio. We're not hearing you, but we will try to come back. Okay, let's go to Robert Gould. Robert Gould. We hear something very faint. Okay, we will try to come back. Michael Conley. Okay, Michael Conley is not on. Did Michael Bullis ever join? No. Okay, either Robert Gould or David and Theresa Fisher. Has your audio been corrected?
Yeah, this is Mike Conley. Can you hear me now?
Yes, Mike. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, the permission just popped up. Good evening and thank you for having me. I'm the Vice President of the Baltimore County Firefighters Association. We have 29 volunteer and EMS companies serving the citizens throughout all areas of the county. during COVID, we experienced funding shortages from our traditional events that were canceled to our mail-in campaigns that our citizens just couldn't support to the extent that they previously were due to job losses. This loss across all of our companies is estimated to be $1.2 million. This funding is critical. We have some companies in areas of the county that are suffering, and these funds are used to put down payments on new apparatus and the daily operations of the stations. We ask that you consider our 29 companies during your process. Additionally, our emergency medical services are being pushed to the limit. This applies to all services providing emergency medical through the county. And we're losing people to other jurisdictions because Baltimore County has not kept up with what other jurisdictions are offering. We have to offer incentives and reimbursement programs to our volunteers to keep our ambulances on the street, and we need help in that area as well. And finally, one thing that really hits home with some of what was discussed this evening, it would be beneficial if we can get into the public school system and have an emergency medical technician program taught in the schools. This would provide additional volunteers to the volunteer companies, which serves as a farm team to the Baltimore County Career Service. These students would come out of school with a certificate of emergency medical technician, which is an instant certificate for a job. EMT is in the healthcare field. They're highly sought after. And if you have that certification, you instantaneously can gain employment. This can be done in our vocational schools in our neighborhoods that are suffering the most that were previously identified. That's all I have. I thank you for listening and appreciate your support.
All right, thank you very much. David and Theresa Fisher, have we been able to repair your audio? No. Oh, I am so sorry. We are not hearing you.
Very scrambled, but if you want
Yes.
to put, if you can and want to put your question or feedback in the chat, perhaps that might be a way to get it delivered tonight. Get the audio figured out.
Okay, Jasmine, do we have any individuals sign up during the course of
Robert Gould is here, so we can try him again.
Oh, great. Okay, Robert Gould.
Were you able to hear me?
For tonight?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I apologize. Good evening, Mr. County Executive and Director. Thank you for allowing me to offer some thoughts on the best use of the next tranche of American Rescue dollars. My name is Robert Gould. I'm a 39-year member and Vice President with the Pikesville Volunteer Fire Company. From the beginning of the pandemic, the dedicated volunteer firefighters and EMS providers of the Pikesville Volunteer Fire Company, along with our volunteer colleagues throughout the county, have been on the front lines of this global health crisis.
He sent me the email. I know he did.
We have done so without hesitation or missing a beat, thereby saving county residents millions of dollars in increased taxes. Beyond the health effects of COVID, the volunteers at Pikesville, along with all other volunteer companies, has suffered a dramatic decline in funding, materially impacting our ability to raise funds to cover unforeseen COVID and non-COVID expenses. It's against this backdrop that we were both shocked and angered to learn through a countywide email this past spring that as part of its FY22 budget, the Olszewski administration had earmarked a one-time premium payment of $3,000 for public safety and public health employees, including police, fire, EMS, corrections, 911, sheriff's office employees, and public health workers. Noticeably absent was any reference to the members of the Pikesville Volunteer Fire Company or any other volunteer fire or EMS organization. At best, this oversight can be attributed to poor staffing or decision-making. At worst, it's a deliberate omission of a group of professionals who, without our services, the county fire department could not function. Whatever the case, failing to include the county volunteers in this one-time premium payment is extremely insulting and disappointing from an equity perspective and raises questions regarding the value the administration places on our people and the services we provide. To right this wrong, our first request is that the administration designate a one-time payment payable to each of the county's volunteer companies, similar to how it handled the April employee payments. We request the monies be paid to the companies themselves, given our members are not paid employees of the county. Not only would this be prudent use of American Rescue Plan dollars, it's the right thing to do for those who have put it all on the line for the county's residents since this pandemic began. A second opportunity for deployment of American Rescue Plan monies, which would meaningfully address an ongoing critical need, would be the purchase of turnout gear, which includes a firefighter's helmet, specialty coat, pants, gloves, and boots. Think of it as the tools of our trade. Unfortunately, we along with other member companies have found it extremely frustrating to be told upon repeated requests that the Baltimore County Fire Department cannot afford to buy individual turnout gear for volunteer firefighters valued at approximately $3,000 per set, which ironically is the same dollar amount as the one-time special premium payment I alluded to just a minute ago. Allocation of American Rescue Plan monies to address this ongoing issue would have an immediate impact on the safety and morale of the county's volunteers and is a good application of American Rescue Plan monies. For nearly 125 years, we have proudly operated one of the most specialized, well-trained and equipped fire rescue and emergency medical service organizations, not just in Baltimore County, but the nation. Our commitment has been and remains to be there for our community in its time of need. Now more than ever, we hope the administration will be there for us in our time of need and do the right thing for our members, particularly where it concerns firefighter health and safety. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Gould. And let me first just thank you and all of our career and volunteer firefighters for the incredible work that's been done out there in response to this pandemic. I am beyond grateful for what you and others have done. I will tell you that we, in fact, actively did explore premium pay for our volunteers as well. And I'm going to let either Director Howie or Ms. Clemens speak to why under the federal guidance that was ineligible. But we are, of course, always looking for ways that we can do more to support our volunteers who are doing really important work, be it through this recovery process and or our upcoming budgeting process. So I appreciate you weighing in. And just want you to know we are looking at ways to continue supporting our volunteers. But Jasmine, if you want to, or Leonard, speak a little bit to the premium pay issue specifically.
Yes, so as the county executive stated, we explored the premium pay in conjunction with conversations with our Office of Budget and Finance, cross-referencing with the Treasury guidance and the interim final rule. And at this juncture, it doesn't seem to be an eligible expense. However, we're happy to continue conversations if you see another interpretation. And also as the final rule comes out, we are expecting that in the coming months, which should solidify some of these other questions we have about eligible items. And just as a reminder for everyone that's on, a lot of the rules and eligibility for what we can spend on, all of it has been defined by Congress first, and then the Department of Treasury has issued additional guidance. And so we have to follow that to the T because this is federal money, which goes back to what Momin mentioned earlier with reporting, the metrics, and the annual expenditures that we'll be sharing with everyone.
Okay, thank you, Jasmine. We do have several other participants who did request the opportunity to speak. So we'll go to Brad Rogers.
Hello, thank you so much. I really appreciate this. First, I'm calling in tonight to testify in favor of the Baltimore Harbor Watershed Living Shoreline Project and to really commend the county on its bold regional leadership to save the bay. Baltimore County and Baltimore City share responsibility for the Baltimore Harbor watershed because it spans both jurisdictions, and the rain doesn't care which side of the line it falls on, which is why both jurisdictions share these federal obligations to clean up the Patapsco. And so this has set the stage for a partnership that is really benefiting both jurisdictions. It's a really exciting moment. In this case, the city is helping the county to save money on its legal obligations by providing sites where really big wetland restoration projects can happen. And this lets the county achieve efficiencies of scale, saving money per pound of pollution cleaned up. And at the same time, the county is helping the city improve the resiliency of historic waterside neighborhoods that are vulnerable to erosion and storm surge. And I just want to commend Baltimore County leadership. This exciting partnership points the way towards future collaborations that serve the residents of the entire Baltimore region. And it establishes Baltimore County as a leader in fiscal responsibility while saving the Bay. And so I just wanted to express my appreciation and support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Lottie Sneed.
Hello,
Hello.
can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for the time. I appreciate listening to the other concerns. This is what I would like to lift up. I'm a resident services manager at Dunfield Townhomes in Nottingham. My role is to provide supportive services to the residents and families there. And I've served in that capacity since 2019. Dunfield is owned by AHC Inc., a nonprofit housing developer dedicated to affordable housing, workforce housing, and supportive services. We've done that in this region since 1975. Two recommendations that we want to lift up, and we thank Councilman Marks and Delegate Jackson for coming to our neighborhood and community and listening to our children. Our children had wonderful ideas of what they need to thrive in our community. So we're asking for funds for a walkable PAL Center for Dunfield and Nottingham community. We're surrounded by a host of apartments for families and children. There's a great need for safe and accessible recreation. A center could provide mentoring, safe recreation opportunities to teach responsible citizenship and leadership. The center could also help our youth catch up on the learning gaps and academic deficits experienced during the pandemic. So we asked for a dedicated fund for this project. The second thing of a concern to us is that many of our children want to work in the summer and they don't have the opportunity to work due to funding. So we would like the county to expand the scope of funding to serve a larger number of our youth for summer employment. We feel like jobs allow our youth to develop teamwork skills and responsibility and a sense of independence. One of the things that the youth asked after hearing the presentation about a possible rec center was, can we work there? Can we get a job there? So we feel like an investment in our young people would certainly change things for them and allow them to succeed in life. So I thank you for your time.
Thanks, Ms. Sneed.
Thank you very much. Mario Borgading.
Oh, good. I can get my video up. Okay. So we had a quick, a member from our community has spoken already, but I'm just going to try and fill in a few gaps. My name is Mario Borgading, the president of the Citizens to Preserve Perry Hall Manor Improvement Association. For this community revitalization funding opportunity, along with the Health and Safety Initiative, the county's portion of the ARP funding was allocated to the Baltimore Harbor watershed. And there are specific areas and small tributaries to the Chesapeake Bay. We're recommending the inclusion of Perry Hall Manor, which shares an exterior border with the Gunpowder Falls State Park, with the American Rescue Plan proposal funding and our public sewer extension project. So just as a quick background, in August 2021, our community was notified by Baltimore County for the public sewer proposal for sanitary or health concerns. We had 122 residents on our map survey, where there are 38 specific properties that share border with the Gunpowder Falls urban demarcation line. Currently, there are no sidewalks or drainage systems in our community. And basically what happens to the rainwater or drainage is gravity fed down into a bowl-shaped type of geographic kind of location. And so that the area I'm specifically alluding to is Miller and Maryland roads. This could create a potential environmental concern because we have 22 marginal or failing septic systems currently in our neighborhood, which were identified in the 2018 survey from DEPS. So as the potential sewage runoff doesn't percolate into the soil or seepage tanks or drain fields, however you want to call it, it may inadvertently get diverted to other yards or down into the actual state park. That could create contamination issues with local wells, create health concerns, things of that sort, which directly feed into the Chesapeake watershed. So as Mark had pointed out earlier, 60% of our residents are currently over 60 years old. Within 5 years, if none of the homes are sold, that's going to rise up to 70%, which is when this project would get kicked off. This is a very dire situation, and it was posed as a health issue to our residents. So we're looking to avoid any lasting residential or economic environmental impacts to our community, and hopefully this funding could help support our entire community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next, we have Rosemarie Lazati.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. If I sound like a mouse, let me know. Okay.
Okay, we will.
All right. I was trying to put the, can you see me?
No, we cannot.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry. I don't know how to do that. But anyway, I don't want to reiterate what Mario and Mark have already stated. I'm also a resident of the Perry Hall Manor Association. My concern is, again, just the number. It's a modest community, and just the number of residents that are marginal, 60 to 70% are retired. And I was looking at the criteria for this. And I know it's a data-driven metrics. I know that we have stated health concerns in this neighborhood. I really want to thank you for giving us an opportunity to provide the input. I just hope that if this money cannot benefit our neighborhood, that the county will continue to look for other monies. And I would also like to ask Johnny O. To provide our neighborhood with a public hearing regarding the septic and the water situation. When the survey started, we also had as many, if not more, concerns for the water in our neighborhood. And I don't know why that's gotten left out. We've asked repeatedly for a public hearing. We've had 2 Zoom meetings. Our neighbors still haven't been heard. I've gone door to door and talked to many of the people. And there are a lot of questions that have been unanswered and a lot of concerns with this project. And I think the county is always saying how they are transparent and accountable, but our neighborhood has not seen that. So I am asking Johnny, I wrote you a letter. I heard back from Thomas Flagg, and I'm asking if we cannot, that we are allowed to have this public hearing.
Ms. Lazati, I am always happy to make myself available. If you want to, I'm going to have Ms. Carr drop in the chat my email address. If you want to send it to me and to her, both her and mine, we will make sure that we get some time set up. So I'm happy to always meet with our constituents. And as I said earlier, we are committed to finding as much of a solution as we can, particularly for those who are least able to, afford an expense on this project. So happy to have the conversation and look forward to the time. So I'm sorry.
I really appreciate that.
Of course, happy to do it.
Okay,
Right.
thank you.
I will look for that.
Okay, Dorothy Stoltz.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, great. Um, well, thanks so much for the hearing and for the survey and reaching out to the community. I'm a longtime resident of Idlewild, and it seems that this kind of funding would be ideal to address the storm drainage, street drainage problems we've had in our community. And David Marks was very helpful a few years ago when we had storms that really indicated that there was drainage problems. Water building up in yards, streets impassable, etc. And we did have a public, I believe it was a public works planning meeting, public meeting, and several of us from Idlewild had testified. But there, you know, an architect had come out and taken a look at, or rather an engineer came out and interviewed several of us, but there has been nothing, as far as our understanding, has occurred to correct the problem. And so just reaching out to see if this kind of funding could address it. So again, you know, to us, it seems like a golden opportunity to solve something that has been problematic and ongoing. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dolson. I'm going to jump in. So we're happy to explore the eligibility. The rules are very, very specific about storm and wastewater. So we'd have to examine the eligibility under those provisions. But I also want to make a note that Congress did just recently pass the big infrastructure bill. It's a massive bill, so everyone is still sorting through it. Though I am aware that there is some money that may be eligible for a project such as this. So we could explore it in that route as well, depending on what the analysis of the infrastructure bill says, and determines how much money, you know, as a state and as a county we get.
Thank you very much, Jasmine. I appreciate that feedback.
Okay, thank you. Donna Allen.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. I am currently a resident at the Dunfield community, the community that's been mentioned that's in need of a PAL center. I have lived in the Dunfield community for 4 years now. I have 2 sons. One is in high school, the other is in the 2nd grade. Both have made friends while here. So year after year, me and my neighbors who have children have watched the parking lots of our community turn into an actual rec center. It's been very unsafe for them and worrisome for parents and neighbors because of the risk involved. Not everyone within the community has money or transportation to make sure that their child has a safe place to play and engage in healthy recreational activities. Myself, I'm disabled, so I'm on a fixed income, and I spend a lot of money sometimes that I don't have to make sure that my kids can enjoy being children. These are children that still have a chance to not become products of the box that they're in physically. Bringing a community center to this area would be an investment in their futures. Some of them are athletes. I actually see it almost every Saturday. Some are artists, dancers, as well as computer savvy. So hopefully this meeting is the door to build a positive image for our children and show our commitment to their safety as well as their well-being. And I guess what we're asking is for the funding to be dedicated to is the PAL Center for the Nottingham Dunfield community, as well as the county expanding funding for summer youth jobs. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. As I'm sure you and the councilman are well aware, I know the councilman's aware, I hope you are, we've been committed to expanding these community centers and recreation opportunities for our students in Baltimore County. It's been a priority of mine. So I thank you for your advocacy on behalf of your community, along with some of your neighbors. We will look into the eligibility of community/PAL centers as part of this process, and as part of the overall feedback. But certainly we'll incorporate that as we have other budget town halls, et cetera, if in fact it's not eligible or not able to be done here. But we are grateful for the feedback and the advocacy, of course, and remain committed to both investing more in our young people and in community anchors. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for that. And I look forward to seeing the outcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And lastly, we have Jaron Shaw.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Wonderful. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate the time letting me speak. My name is Jaron. I am a lifelong resident of Baltimore County. I live in the Pikesville, Mount Washington area, and I've lived in this part of town my entire life. I'm a cyclist. I prefer mountain bike trails, and I'm here to ask the county to invest in more cycling infrastructure and specifically mountain bike trails. These kinds of investments in trails specifically, provide a huge economic return on their investment. Municipalities that invest in trails see all sorts of economic benefits, including increases in property values closer to the trails. The trails make communities more attractive places to live. They boost spending at local businesses like coffee shops, bike shops, even hotels. They make communities more attractive to businesses in a number of ways, including both the amenities they offer to potential employees that they may be trying to recruit, as well as the opportunities they offer to cater to the actual trail visitors themselves. They reduce medical costs by encouraging exercise and other healthy outdoor activities. They can revitalize depressed areas by creating a demand for space in what may have been vacant buildings. They provide transportation options and cut fuel expenses, offering reliable means of transportation for short distances. And they provide low or no cost recreation to families. They also increase tax revenues in the communities that they're located in. So they provide an almost immediate return on the investment made. And as my personal experience has been, that there is a bit of a lack of infrastructure with regards to cycling and specifically mountain bike trails. Our mountain bike trails are really only accessible on Patapsco State Park to the west or Gunpowder Falls State Park to the northeast, but really nothing in the middle of the county. So I just wanted to ask for that. And again, thank you for your time.
Jaron, thank you for that and for the general recommendation. I would ask if you have suggestions specifically about where those trails might be able to be installed. Obviously, we'll do all the work in terms of trying to budget out stuff. But if you have thoughts, if you could just follow up with our team and share those feedback, so we could be looking at as we consider that request here, where we might be looking to do it.
Sure, absolutely. Who should I follow up with? The links posted in the chat.
Or you can send it directly to the town hall email address.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and that will be forwarded in addition to your testimony tonight. So thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, and we want to give one last try to David Fisher. Oh, we are so sorry that this audio is not working for you. Well, Mr. County Executive, that concludes all of the comments that we have. I think we heard some very thoughtful comments. It's clear that our constituents, our residents, our fellow Baltimore County residents did do their homework. They looked at the website, they clicked on all of the tabs, and really looked at the proposals that are up there and gave some thoughtful insight. I'd like to just thank everyone who participated and encourage you to stay connected to us. ensure that you continue to look at the proposals and look at the messaging that we put out, because your feedback is absolutely critical. I think, as both the county executive and I mentioned, there's another opportunity for individuals who did not get to participate to do this again on November 29th from 6 to 7:30 as well. So just thank you all for your thoughtful insights and your participation in this process of our government. Mr. County Executive.
Yeah, thanks, Leonard, and thank you again for the ways in which you and Jasmine and so many others have led this process. Thanks to Amanda Carr for helping to coordinate tonight's conversation. I want to thank our residents who, again, as Leonard said, were very thoughtful and have done a lot of homework on these issues. So we appreciate the thoughtful feedback tonight. It's given us a lot to consider as we continue our evaluation of both what we've proposed and additional spending opportunities to invest in our communities across Baltimore County. So we look forward to following up with everyone. And Mr. and Mrs. Fisher, please email us. We will make sure you're number one at our next town hall if you're able to make that. We certainly can take your feedback via email as well. But really, thanks to everyone for your interest and your engagement. It really has made this county stronger over the years, and we remain committed to trying to find solutions with all of you. So we are grateful for your presence and for your participation, and we look forward to finalizing our plans for American recovery. And we will be following up individually and collectively when that process is done. So thanks again for everyone's presence. I hope you have a great week. Thanks to all of our veterans out there, including Director Howie. And happy Veterans Day tomorrow to everybody. So I think with that, Director Howie, we can call it a conclusion of our program tonight, and we'll see everyone at our next meeting.
Okay, we are adjourned.